Hey there, and welcome back to another exciting tutorial I have made to help you with your 3D animations in Blender 2.9. Before we begin, I would like to thank you guys for 1 million subscribers. Alright, so back to the tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to animate with bones in Blender 2.9. Bones in Blender help you make your animations a little quite more realistic, and they offer sensational rendering results. Now, before we get to more details, I would like to inform you guys that this is not an absolute beginner's tutorial, but instead it is a little bit more complicated. So, okay, I guess we could call it an amateur programmer tutorial. So, yes, this is for this can be all of this stuff can be learned by you in just 20 minutes, about 20 minutes. But no need to worry, because there is a lot of information you will have learned by the time we are done. And also, I would like to assure you that there is nothing to be afraid of. If anything, this travel will probably help you more than tire you. Okay, so let's just jump in the video and I'll show you what to do. Okay, so let's start. First of all, to add bones, go here, add, or Shift A, which is the hotkey for adding objects, and armature. If you are using Blender 2.8, there will be a subdivision in armature called single bone. That's what you want to use. I think the rest are the same. Anyway, if you press armature, you can see this object here. You can imagine, I believe, that this is a bone. Okay, and let's say I want to make the noob's spine. Okay, first of all, I scale with S my bone, and then click to confirm. Okay, now this is one bone, but if we want the noob to make a curve or something with his back, we should probably use more bones. For instance, I will use 3 of them. Okay, so tab to switch to edit mode, and then E to extend the bone, and then drag my mouse without clicking and click. And if you keep pressing E, another bone will appear as soon as you click. Okay, so I have released E. Yes. Okay. And now that I have 3 bones, well, actually, I'm going to use 4 bones, just so that I can show you something really important with this technique. Okay, so now I've got. Let me just make it look a little bit not that curved. Okay, it's a little bit better. Anyway, so this is most of the spine of the noob. But what if I want the spine to be? What if I want more bones and I don't want to extend? Well, this may be useful. Just select all the bones, or 2 bones, or 1 bone. It depends on on how many bones you want to add. And okay, for example, I will select all of the bones and then shift D for duplicate and then place those here. Oh, oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Okay. And yes, now I've got 6 bones instead of 3. That's fine, but let me show. Wait. Yes, and you can see that here are more. There is one more bone. Just delete and bones. Delete bones. Okay, and it should be okay. Yes. Just a second. I will. I don't know what happened. I think I pressed duplicate more than once. Yes. I don't know why I did that. And yes, this line, this black line here, means that those bones are parented together, so they're connected. Okay. Okay. I think now it is fine. Okay. There are no other bones. And now that my bone, come on! Are you? Just a moment. Okay, I'm going to start over. I'm sorry for the delay. And Shift D, and I have placed my bones somewhere. Then I move them with the move tool. Scale them with S to enlarge or make smaller all of the dimensions, so entire bones. Okay. Alright, now it should be fine. Okay. I'm just checking. And if you want to make an action and then regret it, just left click before you release the left mouse. No, right click before you release the left mouse, and yes. Otherwise, you can just undo, edit and undo, or Control Z. Okay, so now you wait. If I select all of my new bones with, if you want to select something, to, left mouse and then shift, hold shift and then left mouse and then hold shift and left mouse, you can select all of the bones with more than one clicks, not by doing this. Okay, if you want. Okay, so if I take them and move them, you can see that these bones, the duplicated bones, these 3 that I have selected, are not attached to the original 3. But if I do this, you can see that those 2 drag the first bone with them. Okay, so how do I correct this? Well, to do this, I need to first select the bone that I want to attach to the main bone. So I select it, and then shift left mouse, I have selected the other one, and Control P and connect it, and then you can see that this bone has been dragged towards this one. So now they are parented. Okay, all of the bones are parented because this part and this part. Okay, so if I go over, wait, before we continue, if I select a mesh and then go here to modes, there is object mode, edit mode, sculpt mode, vertex paint, weight paint, and texture paint. Whilst if I select a, a bone or a spine or anything, if I go to modes, there is object mode, edit mode, and pose mode. Well, the object mode functions just like with meshes, and the edit mode, well, we were before, and yes, and it does stuff like that. You can use other tools, but let's just stick with the basics for this tutorial. And okay, and now let's see what pose mode does for a second. Okay, so if I select a bone, the lines are blue and not orange. And if I select a bone, this bone, which is the first one, and I move it or rotate it, all the other attached bones move with it. Okay, now if I move this bone, no wait, yes, if I move this bone or any other bone except for this one, the first bone, the move tool and the rotate tool do exactly the same work. Okay, so yes, I don't know why there are separate tools, but since they do the exact same job, the exact same form, yes. But you can see that this moves anyway. So what I wanted to show you is that when you select a bone, and rotate it, for example, all the other bones rotate with it, except for the ones before it. Okay, but I didn't just add bones so that my character looks like this. When I program, I added bones so that they can move an object, so that they can scale, so they can change the scale of it during the animation. Because if I do this, then the noob will be like this and not like this for the entire animation, or if I make a curve with his back. But if I go to object mode and then select my object, and then first of all the mesh I want to be depending on the bones, and then shift click the bones and then control P, then these options appear. The easiest option for beginners is with automatic weights. So the computer counts by itself, counts which bone moves which part of the back of the noob, of the torso actually, and the back, without you needing to tell it how to. Okay, so if I select my entire noob and then hit I, location and rotation, and then go to pose mode and do this, you can see that not the entire back, the base of the back of the noob does not move, and that's because the other two bones are still straight. So if I do this, wait, no. If I do this, well, yes, and a small, there is a different function. But well, if you use noob, which is not as complicated or anything else, that's not complicated. These functions, the bone technique is not that useful. But if you have a more realistic character, then the bones are probably the best way to go, or the only way to go. Anyway, so if I go here to 80 frames and do something like this, and then click on the bone, oh wait, and then, okay, location and location, wait a minute. Alright, I had to redo some stuff, but you guys are just fine. Just wait. Let me save. Okay, and if you want, so you want to animate with bones. Well, select all these, and if you select the bones and move them, just so you know, the objects depending on them will move as well. Okay, so if you go over here to armature, and if this helps you, you can just hide for now the mesh and work with the bones, just with the bones. And okay, wait. Okay, so if you select the entire noob and then location and rotation, and then go over to pose mode and select all the bones. Okay, select all the bones and then rotation and location and rotation, and then go to 80 frames and select all these bones, and then location and rotation, just like I showed you in past videos. Okay, so now, okay, but the important part is to remember to use the default location and rotation of the bones, so that you add a keyframe, because if you don't, then wait, if you don't, then delete keyframes, then the bones will start like this, and then there is no way you can well, only with undo, but there is no other way, and you can save the bones from starting like this. Okay, so you probably don't want your noob to be like this. Okay, so now that I have animated with my bones, I can also move the parts of the noob and make them look like they're moving. Well, to do this, you will probably have to use the stuff I taught you in past videos of simple animations. Okay, so location and location and rotation, and now your noob is like this. If you want anything to be if you want anything to be a little bit faster, just click on the keyframe you want, and you can see that now it happens faster. And then if you go and do this, even faster, and if you do this, obviously even faster. And those were the basics of how to animate with bones. Well, there is one last thing I should probably tell you. Wait a minute. Okay, so you may probably imagine that, but when you render your animation and turn it into a video, the bones will not be visible. Okay, so this is good because you wouldn't want your character to have his spine outside his body and look like this. Okay, so this is just for you. But if you don't want to see the bones, even if even when you are programming, then you before you attach them to you before you parent them to your mesh, you could drag them in it, and so that they won't be visible. And if you go over here, you can hide the cube and then just work with the skeleton, and the result will be the same if you make it back visible again. Okay, so that was it, and I hope this video was helpful enough for you guys. And yes, see you next time. Goodbye.